Hi, Danhausen here, very nice, very evil, and we're welcoming you to the Potsy and Danhausen show.
Yes.
Correct?
No, it's the Potsy and Tino show.
No, Potsy and Danhausen show. I'll be taking my royalties.
Absolutely.
And like, subscribe, comment, and watch it. You better be watching it because we're already here for the cast.
Tino show. Talk the facts and let opinions blow. Laughs, hot takes, and maybe a rant. Two best buds with a mic and a plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Potsy and Tino show. Tino right now is dealing with a work emergency where he has to actually take care of something at his job. So I am going alone, at least for the time being. Hopefully he joins us here shortly. But if not, then we will go through the entire show ourselves. As always, I am Rob Potsy Potchak. We like to thank Adam's House Cat for the original wrestling song that we like to use. And of course, again, it's the week that the Royal Rumble has happened. So now, while we didn't actually get to give predictions last week, I think all of us would have been disappointed with our possible predictions. So we are here. Michael Turner, how are you, sir? Hope you are well. Hope you're staying safe in the bad weather that is Snowmageddon 2026. Yeah. So basically, let's go ahead and get started with what's up with you. So normally I throw this off and I shoot it off to Tino so that he can tell me what's up with him. I know that he was originally supposed to be in Hickory this past weekend, but stayed home and watched the Rumble. So I will get to that. I'm actually going to do what I can to try to put off my Royal Rumble talk for as long as possible tonight. Specifically because if Tino does make it here by 8 o'clock, which I'm hoping he may, we can then talk about the Royal Rumble from 8 o'clock on. If I get done talking about everything else before that, then we will obviously get started before that. But what's up with me? Quite a bit, folks. Quite a bit. One of the things that I have been complaining about in my personal life for the past, let's say 2 weeks now, is about a week and a half ago, so about 10, 12 days ago, I sat there and went and had my eyes checked, and the doctor told me that I need glasses. Now, I can tell you right now, I can read everything on my computer screen. I have a 34-inch computer screen, and I'm sitting about 3 feet away from it. I can read everything on it without any problems or any type of issue. But when we start talking about, like, when you want to look at like what gas prices are and you see it up about 300 feet or like 100 yards away from you, that's when I tend to have problems seeing stuff. So I ordered glasses. They were shipped and I paid extra for the express shipping, which was FedEx 2-day shipping. They shipped on the 27th, which meant they should be here by the 29th. It is now February 2nd. The reason why I bring this up is because January is 31 days. So that means that they did not arrive on the 29th. They did not arrive on the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, or as of right now, they have not arrived today. FedEx specifically on their chat on their mobile devices sits there and says, your item was placed on a truck on the 31st and is due for delivery. And Larry is my driver. I'm beginning to worry about Larry because obviously on the 31st, which was Saturday when North Carolina had all the snow hit, That was at 9:30 in the morning that I got that message. It is now 7:07 on 2/2, and the message on FedEx's website still says the exact same thing. So there are a couple possibilities here. And please, in the comments, go ahead and say something about this to me. It is either Larry just drove to Mexico with the truck, or the truck never left the FedEx station, or Larry stole my prescription glasses, which doesn't make any sense to me. But the truth is that I don't know, and I don't care what's going on with it. I want to know where my fucking glasses are. I literally, at this point, have my mind blown at the fact that they are not just late, but Zenny Optical, who I used, who Tino last week we were talking about it, that they couldn't do anything, quote unquote, to help me get my glasses faster. They have now refunded the $24 fast shipping, and I still don't have the glasses. So tomorrow morning, I am going to call Zenny Optical's actual phone line, because all I've done is email them back and forth. And it was nice of them to give me my $24 back for the fast shipping, but I'd like to know where they are. Like, at this point, I'm tired of not being able to see, knowing that I know that I'd be able to see better. Michael says, Larry disappeared in the snow. They have to go out and find him. And Michael, I've got to be honest with you. I am kind of worried about that. I've shown people the picture of Larry, and he did not look like he wanted to drive. Now, granted, that was probably just his profile picture, but he did not look like he wanted to drive. So I am a little bit worried that Larry is somewhere stuck in the snow. Maybe he's a Larry-sicle. I don't know, but it is kind of worrisome at this point. So yeah. Now, FedEx delivers until 8 o'clock, so it'd be interesting to see whether or not I get an update from their service tonight telling me whether or not I'm going to get my 2-day shipped glasses 6 days late. We'll find out. Now I want to talk about something else. And I'm going to talk about what's going good here in just a minute, but I do want to talk about this. For those that don't know, I run trivia 3 nights a week at different places in the Raleigh, Cary, Morrisville markets. And in the 2+ years that I've been running trivia at this point, there's been one person to complain about my trivia. One person. I want to point out that there have been 3 complaints made about my trivia. 3. From one person. This person is no longer allowed to play trivia. I think I actually talked about this a little bit on the show before, because they lied about the fact that when I confronted them about them complaining about my trivia, they flat out denied that they did it, even though the people that hired me to run trivia told me that she complained and that I was to handle it because they knew I brought business to the businesses. So recently, this person has been showing up at trivia again. And they're not allowed to play, and they know that. So they try to find a different way to be involved on trivia night. The best way to describe this person is that as a group of people, my friends and myself that are at one of the places that I go to regularly, felt bad for this person because we noticed that they were always sitting by themselves, didn't really have anyone to talk to, and would then invite them to be part of certain things so that way they didn't feel left out. Like a stray cat. That's probably the best way to describe this person. But at this point, the stray cat has scratched, bitten, and done everything they can to get themselves booted from the group. To the point where last week I was asked by somebody at the establishment, do you want me to tell them they can't be here? And I gotta be honest, I should have said yes. Because I didn't. I sat there and said, as long as they're paying their tab and doing whatever, I have no problem with this person being at the restaurant, but they can't play trivia because at this point they have been banned from trivia from any night that I run trivia. But I told the person who asked me that question of whether or not I should allow them to play, I told that person, if I notice them attempting to talk to someone who is playing trivia and trying to give them answers, I am going to confront them about it. And wouldn't you know it, I had to do it. Now, I want to point out that this person has made it to the point where nobody wants to sit around them. And when I say this, I mean it. On Tuesday nights, this place typically has a full bar and 4 high-top tables that are completely full. And when I say full at the bar, I'm talking like 20 seats at the bar. Last week's trivia game, there were 2 people at one of the bar seats. There were multiple bar seats open. That person, multiple bar seats open, and then 2 people at the end. It was like a quarantine zone. And it wasn't because someone told people not to sit there. They just made the decision to not sit there. Pretty wild. And then I had to tell that person that they couldn't be soliciting answers to other people for trivia because they're not allowed to play trivia. It's pretty weird, pretty wild. It leads me to wonder that if you know that the entire place feels like you're just creating angst, why would you show up? And I'll leave it at that, but I just wanted to get that off my chest with this because it is something I deal with on a regular basis at this point. Make a trivia question about that person so they can answer that. Michael Turner, that is just evil, sir. That is just evil, mean. That's just mean, man. Just mean. But that's very funny. I don't understand it. Because the other thing that the person attempts to do is talk to everybody at the restaurant, all of whom I consider friends or acquaintances with me. And that person attempts to try to say, I don't know why I'm not allowed to play trivia. Well, I never did anything to get myself removed from the game or whatever. But yeah. On some good notes with me right now, today I felt like not procrastinating. So I knew that I had to get the writing done for both of my free comic book day stories. Now, granted, my free comic book stories are only 2 pages each, but I will be honest, I am trying to give readers of anything that has ever read anything that I've written, I am trying to give you a good amount of stuff to read in those 4 pages that are actually from my titles. And for those not in the know yet, that basically means that I am giving you 2 pages of Zor for the free comic book day kids book, as well as 2 pages of junior high horrors, which for those that don't know, Michael, you probably know this because you've collected almost the entire series, I believe. I haven't done a junior high horror story in like 3 years at this point. So going back and entering that world has been really wild for me. And it also means that the plan is to use this as a launch pad for a September junior high horrors book. So I don't want to give anything away about the 2-pager or the actual book, but the actual book's called Run and Hide. I think I might have actually mentioned that already. But then I also have another September book that I'm doing with Michael again, so that way we get another Zor book out. And yeah, so Michael's saying that it's been a while since the junior high horror story has had a story, and I got to be real with you. It wasn't looking likely that I was going to do another junior high horror story. And the publisher put it in the solicitation for the free comic book day book. And I was like, I wonder why he's doing that. And I mentioned something about doing another Zor story. And I even mentioned doing a Zor Halloween type book. And Chris, the publisher at Teen Spot, actually said to me, oh, you know, a Zor Halloween book would be great, but what about a junior high horrors Halloween special? And I was thinking, I haven't done a junior high horrors book in 2.5, 3 years. Like, getting my head wrapped around the characters again might be a little bit difficult. Now, granted, it really isn't. And in fact, I've got a really fun story planned for it. So I'm excited about where we're going with it. But I told him flat out, I was like, I'm not going to do another junior high horror story unless it is something that the whole story comes to me and I can bring back Eric Kent to actually draw it. And Eric's been working on some stuff on his own. He's also been working on another book with me that we've got one full issue done, like completely. The second issue is plotted out and he's drawing it. And then I'm going to start coloring it here shortly. I have not started coloring it and I feel terrible that I haven't yet. But we're probably going to put that on the side again so we can do the junior high horrors book and have that knocked out so that way it's ready to go and everything before September. And I'll say this. Reason why I'm doing it, yes, I said because the story came to me and because Eric said he'd actually do it. But the real reason is because I get asked all the time, are you ever going to do another junior high horrors book? And I kept saying no. I said I felt like that ship had sailed. I didn't ever want to say never, you know, like in WWE terms, you never say never. You could always come back to something down the road. But the reason why I didn't want to do another one, at least now, was because I kind of felt like it was time to really press new intellectual property. So it was time to actually like get stuff out there that hadn't already been seen. You know, obviously Junior High Horror started out as a parody, kind of became its own thing. So it's been one of those titles where I don't want anybody to ever think that I don't love it, but at the same time, I've got all these new ideas, fresh ideas in my head that are completely original ideas. So it makes more sense to want to do these original ideas because Junior High Horrors is kind of maxed out where it can be. It can be a fun comic book series that has an established audience. And I'm really hoping the established audience comes back and buys their favorite cover, special covers, whatever we might do for it that are just out there. Because I know that the title does well, but it's been disappointing to hear that it can't really be a cartoon and it can't have action figures and it can't have this and it can't because of all that. So obviously I've worked hard at creating, with Michael creating Zor, or even the new book that Eric and I are doing that at some point we'll have the 4 issues ready to go and it'll come out, called Stonkered. Or some of the other ideas, like the one that I've got going with Eric Marshall, or the one that I've got going with Daryl Murphy. All of those titles, everything we got going on is new and different and wild and cool, and but I don't want to not show love to the characters that kind of got me to where I am in comics, and that includes junior high horror. So that's why, because of you guys, everybody out there, that's why I'm bringing back junior high horrors with Eric. Maybe even with Billy, who knows? Like, if I can't get all the coloring done, or actually I think Eric's supposed to be doing the coloring, but if for whatever reason some part of the book can't be done by me, I'm going to sit there and ask Billy to be part of it, because he was a part of the book for so long before he went and did D-Ward. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on there. But I did, like I said, I completed the initial writing portion of both of those stories. So they're due on March 1st. So we've got a month to get them done. And I'm excited because it is something for everyone out there that likes what I write to get, something little before the meat and potatoes comes out later in the year. So yeah. So all right, that's enough talking about comic books. Now it's time to talk about what we've been watching. And I know this says Brilliant Minds, Landman, and Fallout. Brilliant Minds did have a new episode. I watched that this week. It was good for what it was. They've been doing some wild stuff with that, and I still want to see where it all ends up with Wolf in a mental institution, because that's kind of where it started the season, but then they kept doing 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks, whatever. So I've been enjoying that show. It's a really smart show for what it is. Landman ended before we had our last show, so that one I probably should have taken off of here. Fallout last week was the second to last episode of the season, and man, they really did turn it up a notch to get us kind of close to whatever the finale is going to be, and I am excited for it. Can't wait, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty wild. Prime Video also had a new movie come out this week called The Wrecking Crew. I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch it. I did. It is Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa playing half brothers, taking on a bunch of stuff in Hawaii. Michael says that he saw the new Tron. I liked it. I like the second Tron more than I like this one. But I did like that they played around with some of the stuff that was going on in all of it. This week was really crazy though to me, because there was so much going on in terms of shows launching and different things. And obviously, because the Snowmageddon happened, I was cooped up and needed to sit at home, couldn't go out. So it was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to watch? And I'm going to tell you guys, I watched a show this past week. I watched all 8 episodes of it. It was called Paradise. And it basically it stars James Marsden as the president of the United States. And the entire, the commercials for this show, when Hulu was announcing it, didn't really give me any idea of what the show was really about, because you thought it was about a Secret Service agent that was being blamed for the murder of the president of the United States. I've seen that story. I think we've all seen that story. That story isn't new, isn't anything crazy, isn't anything that makes you go, wow, I need to watch all 8 episodes of this. But that's not what the show was about. The show was about the president getting murdered and the Secret Service agent initially getting blamed for it. But you then find out that it is in a shelter that is built in a mountain that is holding 25,000 people because a giant tsunami also caused a giant nuclear war. And this is where America now survives. And only 25,000 people are in this. And then the president gets murdered. So who did it? Why'd they do it? How'd they do it without weapons? Because they literally are starting to try to restart society inside basically a giant bubble in a dome. And the show's really good. Second season is supposed to launch this month. And I don't know what they plan to do because the first season kind of ties up all of its loose ends for the most part. There's one major loose end that is not tied up, and I guess that's part of where they're going to go with the story going forward. But it is wild. Highly recommended. So if you haven't watched it, I absolutely recommend it. Like I said, second season's going to start this month. Another show called School Spirits, which had Peyton List, who was in Cobra Kai as Tori. That show came back for, I guess, season 3. First 3 episodes all dropped on Paramount Plus. I really enjoy this show. It's about a school where when people die on school premises, they don't actually disappear. They actually start living in like a ghost world on the school grounds, and all of the ghosts actually can congregate together. So that one is pretty wild as well. Kind of enjoy that show. And every season, so first season had a certain twist at the end, which led to the second season. Second season had a twist at the end, which led to the third season. And now we're in the third season, and it's already been really kind of wild. And yeah. And then Disney decided they didn't want to be left out in this new let's drop everything at the end of January. And they dropped 8 episodes of Wonder Man. Anybody out there watch Wonder Man? I'm going to go ahead and update this banner a little bit with some of these other shows. So we'll put that back up there. So Wonder Man was a new Marvel Cinematic Universe TV series. I guess the first since they did. God, what was Daredevil? Was Daredevil the last one that they did? Michael Turner saying no Wonder Man. No. Michael, I'm going to tell you, if you actually read the reviews, Wonder Man is really good. And I will concur that I thoroughly enjoyed the 8 episodes. It was 30-minute episodes. The whole thing takes about, 3 hours, 45 minutes. They dropped all 8 at once, I guess because Disney didn't really have a lot of faith in it. And it really isn't about the superpowers. So it's the first time that Marvel's shows have done something more, and when I say more down to earth, I mean right down to the ground level. And they do it well. The show's really good. It's all about a struggling actor trying to get a break. And then he meets the guy that played the Mandarin. And he's trying to catch a break as well. So it bodes well for both of them to become friends. And that's kind of what happens. And it is done with probably the least amount of special effects that any Marvel Studios property has been done with. It's very little ties to the actual bigger part of the Marvel universe. And Trevor Slattery, who played the Mandarin, is probably, I would actually say he's actually the main character of the story. So, so if you haven't watched that, I do recommend it. I actually thought it was very good. And like I said, I watched a lot of TV, a lot of movies this week. And the last thing that I guess I'll talk about that I watched that was not wrestling related, I watched Mel Brooks, The 99-Year-Old Man. And for those that don't know, the name of this documentary, I was kind of taken aback by when I initially saw it, because I was like, yeah, he's 99. He's not 100 yet. Hopefully he makes it. Knocking on wood there. But what it's about, Mel Brooks's first thing that actually made him noticed, made him funny, made him, like a household name, if you would, was a skit that he did called The 2,000-Year-Old Man. And he would just tell these stories about what it was like to meet Jesus and whatever. And he'd be like, oh, Jesus was a man who would sit here and blah, 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 and that was the entire comedy bit. And the documentary, which is directed by Judd Apatow and another man, is really about how that affected, how Mel Brooks's life didn't just affect him, his family, everything else, but how it affected the entire comedy world. And it was beautiful. The documentary is absolutely amazing. And it made me think something, which I posted yesterday, or maybe even this morning on Facebook, which I'll talk about now, because even though I'm talking about what I was watching, this does come up in about my comic book writing. And when I was writing Junior High Horrors, and I was writing Dead Sonya and Ex Liefelds and Mangalorean and a bunch of the different parodies that I'd written, people started calling me the Weird Al of comics. And I didn't take offense to it. I was like, oh, that's really flattering that you would call me that, because if you're doing parody, Weird Al is one of the people that you actually consider and you want to be in the conversation with. Like, it really is. And he really is. But I never liked being called the Weird Al of comics, because Weird Al would take a specific song like Beat It and he would turn it into Eat It. And so he would take the same beat, same thing, and just basically rewrite the song. And he would rewrite the song to match up with the beat and everything. And it was complete and straight parody and copying. And I didn't realize this until I was watching this Mel Brooks documentary, that I would rather be called the Mel Brooks of comic books. And the reason why I say that, and I don't want to be called the Mel Brooks of comics. I'm not good enough to ever be called the Mel Brooks of comics. But I would rather be called the Mel Brooks of comics, because Mel Brooks, while he did Young Frankenstein and he did Spaceballs, which are very close parodies to the source materials of Young Frankenstein being almost an exact uh, replica while trying to make it funny. And Spaceballs basically trying to take that entire three movie saga of 4, 5, and 6 and give you something funny from it. Most of Mel Brooks's parodies were his take on genre and his take on people that he loved. Gene Wilder was actually really the writer of Young Frankenstein, which a lot of people may not know. But Mel Brooks agreed to direct the film and help him write it because Gene Wilder had never written a movie before that. But he had this great idea to do a story about Frankenstein's grandson who did not want to be part of the family. And it's genius when you think about it. And Mel Brooks went on record to say it's so much harder to do that kind of parody because it was a love letter to the original director of the very first Frankenstein movie. And he made sure that the sets and he made sure that the cuts and the way that the film was actually done were so accurate to the way that the original movie was made that was his love letter to that guy's movies. And for anybody that knows me, when I wrote The Mandalorian, I took The Mandalorian, which I absolutely loved the first season of, and wrote the parody as a love letter to the source material. And I bet if you were to give Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni a copy of The Mandalorian, and they read that The Mandalorian was a UPS driver in space, they would absolutely love that. Because they'd be like, well, it's not what we would have done, but it totally has that Mad Magazine vibe. But it was done, and I've been quoted as saying it is the love letter to the source material. And that's why people don't get mad when I write a parody like that, because they realize that not only did I create a funny version of what was coming, but I also loved the original source material so much that I kept as much of it in there as possible while including the retail or the delivery world into that methodology. And Ex Liefeld's is more like a Mel Brooks type parody than it is a Weird Al parody. And the reason why I say that is because Ex Liefeld's, when I created that story, it was my love letter to 90s X-Men comics. And I've said that so many times. I said it to Rob Liefeld. I said, this is my love letter to 90s X-Men. And, you know, at the time, he didn't, there's no way he thought that the comic was actually coming out. But when it did, you know, it shot like a rocket. And the reason why, and to this day, I still feel like the reason why people like it, and Michael, I know that you've read it. Anybody else that's in the audience, I know that we've had people coming and going. So like if Rob Paw's out there, Ray Aguila is out there, or anybody else, Chris Barrett, if you're out there, go ahead, chime in. If you've ever read one of my comics and read one of my parodies, you could probably see why I now say that I am much more a Mel Brooks fan and would absolutely would absolutely sit there and at any point in my life love to be called the Mel Brooks of comics, unless he tells me, "Get out of here, kid. You're not any good." Because I kind of think that that's what he would actually say, but then he'd laugh because that's kind of who he is. But anyway, this documentary was 2 parts. The first part is all about his upbringing and getting into Hollywood and his first divorce. And it's so gleeful to see how his kids actually talk about him, even though they realize that Hollywood took him away from being the best possible father he could be. But they all talk about how he knew he wasn't a good dad, and he said he wasn't. But he always said that he'd try harder. And to see the love story between him and Anne Bancroft, a famous female actor, dancer, singer, smoke show, if you will. To see that the two of them seem to have loved each other for 50 years plus, even did a film together. That at the end of the documentary, Mel actually showed to his granddaughter, and it's just heartwarming and touching to me. And you guys know that I get emotional about a bunch of stuff that happens or whatever, but the second part of the documentary talks about the later Mel Brooks films, and a lot of people don't realize that Mel Brooks started a film company called Brooks Films, which did movies that started the careers of David Lynch when David Lynch was brought on to do The Elephant Man. And there was another one too that I can't remember at the moment, but would probably blow your mind. And it's because Mel wanted originality and he wanted heartfelt works. And it's even why he did movies like High Anxiety, which were his parody of Alfred Hitchcock's movies. Or when he did The Producers, and he was basically taking in all of the stuff that was going on in real life around him and turned it into a movie. And it just blows my mind, folks. It really does, because where he would grab creativity from was everywhere. If his boss, while he was a writer, was sitting there complaining about something, it made it into some of the works. And that actually brings up one other show that did come back this week, and I almost forgot to mention it, but it is one of my favorite shows on TV right now, is Shrinking, which is Harrison Ford and Jason Segel as psychiatrists in California, basically living their regular lives. In the first episode back, so I guess this is season 3 of Shrinking, was like an hour and 10 minutes, which is amazing because Apple TV will give you that if you need it. And the first half of it is just reminding you that the show's been gone for a year. So it's like, let's get you back into everything. And they get you back into everything by having Harrison Ford's character, Paul, who has Parkinson's disease. At the end of season 2, Paul tells this story at Thanksgiving to all the people in his life, because they're all at the same Thanksgiving dinner, that his medication for Parkinson's isn't working as well anymore. So he's only going to take it when he absolutely needs it. And he hopes that everybody is there for him. And today, I saw a video from the Rich Eisen show with Ted McGinley. And Ted McGinley was Jefferson on Married with Children, but he plays Derek, the wife, or the husband, plays the wife pretty much. The husband of Jason Segel's neighbor. And he was telling a story about how at the end of Spin City with Michael J. Fox basically gave the same speech in real life to the cast, where he said, I need to take my medicine when I'm at home so I can be as strong for them as possible. But the law of diminishing return means that if I take it here too, I'm not going to get as long with it. So I'm going to stop taking it while I'm here. And you guys can all help me with that. But when I go home, I need to be there for my family. And I don't know if that's why it made it into the show, but Bill Lawrence, the guy that created Scrubs, obviously did Spin City and now is doing Shrinking, and also bringing Scrubs back at the end of February, definitely pulls in from the life around him. And the first episode of Shrinking Season 3 features a cameo from Michael J. Fox, who has joined the cast for the entire season, from what I can tell. And basically goes into, him. Michael J. Fox apparently called Bill Lawrence and said, you're doing a show about a guy with Parkinson's and you didn't call me. And Bill Lawrence was like, well, I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah, you should have at least given me a call about it. I mean, like, I could at least help out with like what goes on with Parkinson's and everything. And since Michael J. Fox has been talking about how Harrison Ford's portrayal of a person with Parkinson's is very accurate, depending on what level and where you are with it. And Michael J. Fox, one of the most beautiful souls that you could ever watch anything about. I watched the Apple documentary about him, and it blew my mind to see how hard he struggles and yet how hard he works to get everybody to where they understand more about what he's going through, and not just for him, but for anybody with it. So, yeah. So like I told everybody, I watched a lot of stuff this week. And I watched a lot of wrestling. Not going to go through all of the wrestling, but we're about 10 minutes away from where I hoped Tino may make an appearance here tonight. If he doesn't, no big deal. But I do want to talk about something that happened on AEW this week. And something that happened on AEW that I was very impressed with. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, before I ever talk about the Royal Rumble or the Fallout and whatever, is Tommaso Ciampa's debut on Dynamite and his first match on Collision. Now, all of you out there that watch pro wrestling know that I almost never watch Collision. And the reason why is because I feel like I watch too much wrestling already. I'm already finding it a hard time to watch TNA after its debut. And that might be because I watched a 4-hour Royal Rumble this week. I don't know. But watching 2.5 hours of Raw, watching 2 hours of NXT, watching 3 hours of SmackDown, 2 hours of AEW Dynamite, always makes it difficult to watch even more. But this week I made extra time specifically to watch the debut of Tommaso Ciampa on Dynamite. And let me explain how this happened for me. So I run trivia on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. As of last week, or the week before last, the wrestling world was wondering where Tommaso Ciampa was going to go. And a lot of people were thinking TNA was a good choice. A lot of people were thinking New Japan was a good choice. And Tony Khan recently had even talked about how he didn't think that there are many people on WWE's roster that fit well with what AEW is trying to do. Or his Ring of Honor or whatever. Like his overall vision of wrestling. Tommaso Ciampa posted a post probably last Monday, thanking everybody at WWE, specifically thanking the Black and Gold brand, the catering people, the hairdressers, the hairstylists, the gear people, everything else, thanking all of them. And then all of a sudden he had a pro wrestling tee shop open back up. Now, for those that don't know, and I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble here, but for those that don't know, I actually know the person that makes the designs for Tommaso Ciampa's gear. His name's Tom Nguyen, buddy of mine from way back when it comes to comic books. I mean, we're talking AOL days. That's how long we're talking. I've known this guy. But he's been the guy who's designed Tommaso Ciampa's gear as well as his merchandise the entire time that Tommaso Ciampa has been in charge of his own gear and merchandise. The only time he didn't do any of that stuff was when WWE was like, no, we've got a gear team for it. So Tom has been designing stuff for him since he announced that he owned the Psycho Killer, Psycho King, and Psycho Kid names for whatever he was going to debut as in AEW. And so I'm driving home from trivia on Wednesday night, and lo and behold, I'm listening to Busted Open After Dark on my way home, and they spoil it for me that Tommaso Ciampa has made his debut on AEW television. And Tino was texting me and said Black Widow Jones, because, you know, we always bring up when Taz uses the term Jones on stuff. And I was like, oh, is he talking about Tekla or whatever? And he's like, yeah, Tekla. And there's another surprise that you're going to love. And I was like, I think it just got spoiled for me. So I called him because we obviously didn't do our prediction show last week. And I was like, yeah, I think they just spoiled it for me that Tommaso Ciampa showed up. And he goes, why are you listening to Busted Open After Dark knowing you're going to go home and watch AEW? He's not wrong. Probably should have put on NHL radio. I don't know. But I laughed pretty good at that. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. I probably should have just, gone home and watched it and been surprised like everybody else. And I said, so how was it? And he goes, I'll let you watch it. And I'm like, okay. So I get home. And no song, I don't care how good Mikey Ruckus is, by the way. No song is ever going to be as good as No One Will Survive. His NXT theme. That to me is stone cold, glass shatter. Dun, 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 dun. It is that good. The only other one that I think is even close is the old Undisputed Era. That the Undisputed Era still gets used on Busted Open from time to time because they're like, someone needs to use that. But No One Will Survive is easily the best song theme for a wrestler that has been used since Stone Cold Steve Austin. And right now, I will die on that hill. If you think anybody's is better than that, fuck off. Not even close. So, my shadow knows my story. It'll grow on me. I think it will. It's not ever going to be No One Will Survive. But that graphic that Tom helped design and the way that Ciampa stands there so that it actually makes the bottom half of a skull between his legs from the top half of the Ciampa skull that they'd always used. Fucking incredible. Probably the best debut on AEW in I don't know how long. We're probably talking since Danielson or Adam Cole when they debuted. Or I mean, obviously CM Punk with Cult of Personality and coming out as CM Punk. But those three, this was the biggest. And the reason why I'm saying this, everybody, and the reason why this is so important for me to say this, is because those that know me know that when I am talking about AEW, a lot of times I'm very highly critical of their product. And I immediately said, when everybody was like, Tommaso Ciampa immediately fits into AEW before he signed, I was like, whoa, not so fast, my friend. Let's not jump into that, because most of them fall into just being part of the shuffle. At some point, they all fall into the shuffle. I mean, right now, Swerve just lost to Andrade last week so that they can put Andrade in there for some reason rather than keep Swerve as hot as he was. Don't really understand it. Swerve's falling back down into the shuffle. The way that Ciampa was introduced was kind of like Jericho on WWE programming. They had Mark Briscoe win a tough battle. After he wins the tough battle, he, sits there and says, I'm going to continue doing this open challenge, which I find it weird that WWE is doing an open challenge with the US title. AEW is doing an open challenge with the TNT title. But having him walk out, having him show up, having the crowd actually know who he was because it was his name, it was a wonderful and great debut. Absolutely one of the best debuts they've actually had. And I applaud it, and AEW gets kudos for that. They also get kudos from me for his first match. Now, there was some weirdness to what his first match was going to be to me, because the way that he is presented is as a psycho killer. And he goes up, and just to show how psychotic he is, he kisses Mark Briscoe on the cheek at his debut. Okay, that's weird. And it's creepy. And it's something psychotic, because, like, if there's one person you don't want to sit there and just be dude on dude kissing the cheek kind of thing, it's probably Mark Briscoe. I think Tino would even agree with me on that. So having him do all that goes into the psychosis thing. That gets into people's heads. And that's what he obviously was trying to do, is play head games. But when he actually had his match, he shook his hand, was almost like a Ring of Honor match. It was showing that we're going to be honorable, we're going to be men, we're going to do this. And when the match ended, and let me say this, it was a fun match. It went almost the time limit, which was great. It wasn't without its flaws, but it wasn't a bad match. It was a solid match. I really enjoyed it. At the end of it, he showed respect to Briscoe. He hugged Briscoe. And these two have history. I mean, like they obviously worked in Ring of Honor together for years. So seeing the admiration between the two is totally acceptable. But what is Tommaso Ciampa supposed to be? Is he supposed to be a babyface? Is he supposed to be a heel? With a moniker like Psycho Killer, you kind of assume heel. But at the end of the match, they launched a new program with him because Kyle Fletcher walked out. And as we all know, right now, Kyle Fletcher is a heel. So watching Kyle Fletcher come out and say, "You're holding on to my title," and watching Tommaso Ciampa say, "Oh, this one? You mean mine?" And then, of course, holding it like Goldie was a nice little touch. I really enjoyed it. I just hope it's not always on Collision, because I'd rather see those two go for that belt on Dynamite, which unfortunately, because it's the TNT Championship, probably has to be on Collision. If there was one thing I would have done differently, I would have made that the main event instead of the Babes of Wrath versus the Triangle of Pain or whatever they're fucking called now. I don't even know. And the only reason why I say that is because the TNT Championship was always, from my understanding, was meant to be the top championship on Collision. So I would have made that the main event, because I also would have felt with a 20-minute time limit, the match has to end by the end of the show, rather than Tony Schiavone doing is, "We're going to stay with this until it ends." Because they still ended relatively on time. All right. We're now at 8:05. Hope everybody has felt like I've kept them entertained for the most part, because I think it's time to talk about the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to break down all, I will try to break down the matches as they happened. Obviously, the Women's Royal Rumble opened the show. First thing I thought here was that I would have opened the show with AJ Gunther, except I think that the reason why they didn't start with AJ Gunther was because of the outcome of AJ Gunther. And you guys can tell me whether or not you feel like I'm right there, but that would have been what I would have started with. And for the most part, I think it's going to go downhill from here. Here's why. So Triple H decided he wanted to take one of those old things of how you start a Rumble and really do it some justice by basically going, we're going to start with everyone's favorite tag team, and we're going to put them against each other. Now, the first time this ever happened, I believe, was Demolition. Big Ben Jones is in the studio.
Nope.
What are you?
Soup.
Are you smoking a bowl?
Soup. Chicken noodle soup. I hadn't had a chance to eat. I had to finish that class. Heat up my soup real quick.
So Tino, I just finished my thoughts on Tommaso Ciampa's debut and first match in AEW, and I was just getting ready to start with the Women's Royal Rumble. So, you didn't watch the debut? Oh, you watched the debut.
I didn't watch the match yet. No.
Okay, but you watched the debut.
when he came out and challenged for the belt, I didn't see him.
Yeah. Well, talk about that. Like what I said about it was I felt that in AEW it was one of the four biggest debuts they ever had, and the only ones I could really compare it to were the CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool. So I thought it was going to be, honestly, Briscoe was out there and he's like,
welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. Briscoe put it out there. It's kind of like an open challenge, kind of like they're doing with the Intercontinental
U.S. title. But yeah, right? I even mentioned that.
And so when he did that, I figured it would probably be one of Don Callis' people, right? I thought it'd be Don Callis. I wasn't expecting it. And then the lights went out. And I'm like, Andrade, because that's what they've been doing with him lately, is turning the lights out. I'm like, okay, he is part of the Don Callis family. But then,
well, they also tried to make it seem like this guy was part of the Don Callis family, and then they were like, nope, that's not really the case.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Well, they didn't. So because Don Callis was at commentary when they were talking about it, and then the lights went out and they came back on. But anyway.
And so when the lights came back on, and then the music hit, I'm like, who the fuck is music? Then his name, what does he call himself now?
Psycho Killer.
That came up. I'm like, as soon as that came up, I knew exactly who it was.
Well, that's because you had seen the listing for the trademarks, right?
But I think he was using that in ROH.
He owns those trademarks now.
So he was a Sicilian psychopath.
He was also
the Psycho Killer in ROH. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
He might have been. So these are the ones that I know that he actually applied for. He applied for Psycho Killer, Psycho King, and Psycho Kid.
He ain't no damn kid. But
he's not super old though. He just has gray hair.
So when he came out, I was like, well, there it is. There's the next TNT champion.
Well, and so a couple of things that I mentioned, because I want to fill you in with what I mentioned to everybody out there so that you don't repeat anything. I mentioned that my buddy Tom Nguyen actually designs all of his stuff for Pro Wrestling Tees. So if anybody wants to help out and buy a new Psycho Killer shirt, by all means. But he also designed that logo. And I thought personally, when that logo comes up and he stands there in the shadow of it, and you see the lights coming out and it makes the bottom of the skull, I thought that was badass, dude.
I wonder who owns the thing that we both like that he used in NXT for so long. Is that WWE?
Oh, No One Will Survive?
Is that WWE owned?
Oh, definitely.
Damn it. I wish he could have brought that with him.
Dude, I wish he would have just come up with a different way to do that. But because what I actually, so before you got here, because literally like 10 minutes ago is when I was talking about this. I said his entrance music, the only two that I think even rival it are the Undisputed Era, which can't be used anymore because they're all in AEW, except for Bobby Fish, who's gone now. And it is the best theme music I've heard since Stone Cold's.
His new one?
No, his old one.
Yes.
Like his rival, like to me, gave me that same feel as when you hear the glass shatter and da-da-da-da, like. But the only other one that I think even is close would be the Undisputed Era, which was Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Those two themes were absolutely. And
I like the original Keith Lee's too, though.
I don't know if I remember his.
It was. I gotta find it.
It's been so long since I've even seen Keith Lee.
Yeah, right.
So. But so you didn't get to see the match. Did you read the results? Do you want me to tell you? All right. So I already told everybody else. He did win the match, so you were 100% right. Ciampa beats Briscoe. Ciampa actually, it was basically baby versus baby, and it felt like an old school Ring of Honor match. because they shook hands at the beginning, they hugged at the end, but then they immediately threw him into a new program. Kyle Fletcher walked out. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am all about a Kyle Fletcher versus Tommaso Ciampa match.
I'm going to have to go back and watch the Ciampa match then.
Well, you know, the TNT Championship apparently has a 20-minute time limit.
Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
The match was good. They got a table involved, even though obviously they could be disqualified. But I think it was time to take the title off of Briscoe. You know, I don't know what he'd been doing on Collision. Obviously, it's the TNT Championship, so it's probably going to be mostly defended on Collision.
I don't know now they got Ciampa. I think that might be.
Well, I got to be real with you. I think the reason why they did that match on Saturday night was to get some hype, because in case the Rumble wasn't very good. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and give Tino the opportunity real quick to talk about what's up with him.
Okay.
I know that I had already mentioned tonight he had a work emergency and had to take over for something at work.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that Razor phone he's got. Look at that bad boy. That's the Samsung though, right?
Yep.
Looks just like the Razor.
I had to turn the ringer off.
Looks just like the Razor. So Tino, what has been going on with you, my friend? It's been 2 weeks since we actually got to do this.
2 weeks. For the ice, yeah, I was out of power. You did it though, right?
No, not last week.
So yeah, I did get hit with a power outage. It came back on about 9:30, quarter to 10. Thank God, because it was getting cold. And Nicole, and in the meantime, last week, Monday was a teacher work day anyway. They closed school Tuesday and Wednesday and did 2-hour delay Thursday and Friday. Nicole got sick. Why aren't
they just doing like online learning?
That's what they're doing. That's what they did. Well, Tuesday and Wednesday, that's what they did.
Okay. So they didn't actually have snow days.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Today was a snow day for them. Tomorrow is online learning, right? Or no, today they were supposed to have a teacher work day in February. They'll just go to school. They just switched it. Nicole got sick, and she had a fever. It's like 104. No, it's 100.4.
Okay, Jesus, because 104 means you're in the hospital.
That's why I stopped. It was 104. It was almost 101. She had the chills, earache, throat, runny nose, stuffy nose, sneezing. So I'm like, dude, you got the fucking flu. So Tuesday, I took her to the doctor. She tested negative for the COVID and flu. They said it was a virus.
Dude, that's happening now. I have seen like 5 or 6 people with all flu symptoms not have the flu.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we've been pumping her full. She's better now, but that whole week, and I was too, because I'm not trying to catch it. Been taking her like emergency, been drinking hot toddies. I've been taking zinc pills, making sure we hot tea, lemon honey, and Crown Apple. So yeah, that's good. And so
that sounds delicious.
It is. I was like, I'm not even sick, but I'll make you one. I want one too. So she's back. She's back to about 85, 90%. So she's on the tail end of it, thank God. So then the whole Snowmageddon this weekend, right? So yes, right. So I was supposed to be in Hickory. And I've been all week. I'm like, I'm losing this money. And part of me is like, this is North Carolina. We probably won't get anything.
Not gonna get shit,
right? So, but I was calling. So I had to make a decision Thursday because you got to do 24 hours to cancel your hotel. And I had a hotel for Friday and Saturday. So I'm texting my friends up there and calling like, what's the weather like up there? What's it looking like? No, it's supposed to start snowing Friday night around 6, and then just snow all day Saturday, which I figured if that happens, they'll probably cancel my shows anyway. So, and then they were saying the roads are going to be bad. I'm like, I'm going to call it, right? So I called it. So Friday, I was off anyway because I'd taken Friday off.
Nothing happened Friday.
No. So when I went to bed Friday, they said it's supposed to start snowing 9 a.m. So I get up Saturday morning, and it ain't shit. Wasn't shit. I'm like, motherfucker. Right? So watching the news. I'm like, and I'm watching like from Greensboro over, like going towards Hickory, going towards that Charlotte area. They had like 8-10 inches of snow. I'd call my friend Chris. That I'm like, did it snow up there? He goes, yeah, dude. He says it snowed. His words were, it snowed a fuckload. He said, let me put it to you like this. I took my dog out an hour ago. You go out there now, you ain't seeing it. It's like covered. So I'm like, wow. And it did. So they got it. He said they got a good 10 to 12.
So my sister in Myrtle Beach, because I was supposed to be in Myrtle Beach on Saturday. Myrtle Beach got 8 inches.
Yeah, down on the coast down here, they got a buddy of mine lives up in Emerald that way. Atlantic, they got I think he said 9. So I'm like, damn. But so we wake up, we're watching the news. So all these people are getting snow around us. And I'm like, what the fuck? I remember I even texted you, was it snowing? So apparently Raleigh was in the dry pocket. Did you see the news? We were in the dry pocket. Everybody else is snowing. We ain't getting shit. So it'll come later. So it said, okay, it probably hit Raleigh, the Raleigh area around 2. Oh yeah, it started snowing, but it was disrespectful snow. You know that the meme with the dude with the salt, like that's it wasn't snowing, and then it stopped like at 4 o'clock. I'm like, fuck. But then it picked back up around 6, and then we ended up getting about 2.5 inches. It started coming down real good, but I was about.
So I didn't even say this to everybody else, but we ended up with like 4 or 4.5, and it snowed from right when you asked me, because you asked me like half an hour before the Rumble was getting ready to start, and I was like, "Oh, does this mean Tino's coming over?"
I was thinking about it,
and you were like, and I was like, "No, but it looks like it's getting ready to." And then I walked outside right after I sent that text message back to you. My neighbor was outside, Miss Donna, and I was like, did it start yet? And she goes, oh yeah, it looks like it's starting. And I mean, it was like the little, like this. And I'm like, oh, well, that ain't shit. Like if that's all we're getting, then that ain't shit, And then I go, I think I hadn't taken my shower yet. So I went in, took my shower, walk out, and it's like, and I'm like, did someone just grab a snow machine and start blowing stuff? And I've got the little cat outside.
Oh no, yeah.
Well, the cat doesn't want to come inside. Nope. She loves the snow. Hey. She's sitting there. Dude, there are so many well, now it's almost all melted because it got almost to 50 degrees today. Mm-hmm. And even though it was only supposed to get to like 36, it got to like 50. Tomorrow it's going to be over 50, so it'll all melt, and then 25 tomorrow night, so it'll all freeze. But but like cat prints everywhere, and then I go outside at like midnight because it finally stopped at like 12:30 at night, and it didn't put a lot on the ground, but it started sticking almost immediately, which was wild because here it almost never starts sticking immediately. But it started sticking immediately, and we only got like 4 inches. But I walk outside at midnight, and that cat's just in a little chair, and it's got a little, like my neighbor set up like all this stuff for, and she set it up right underneath my awning that I've got at my house. And the cat just looks at me and is like, go back inside. It's just, mind your business. Just like, go back inside. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go back inside. So I walked inside, grabbed her some food, put food out for her, and then walked back in. And my neighbor the next day was like, that, because I walked outside, I put a jacket on, I was wearing sweatpants, jacket, whatever. And I was like, it's not cold out. Like, past couple of days, it was fucking freezing.
Yeah.
But after the snow and that sun, like, there was no wind. And it was just like it was taking. I was like, woo, I could take this jacket off and I'd be all right out here.
Right.
I also talked about everything I watched this week. I watched a ton of stuff, so I'm not gonna sit there and talk you into all that because I know that you don't want to be on here too late. So you want to talk about the Rumble?
The only thing I've watched, I went back and started watching Supergirl again, and then just I don't know why, because I think the movie's coming out. I'm like,
I've been thinking about watching Smallville because I've never watched all 10 seasons.
And then Catherine O'Mara died. So I started watching Schitt's Creek again because I love her in Schitt's Creek. But I did take time out to watch all 8 episodes of Wonder Man. Did you watch that?
Okay, so I will let you give. Now I didn't spoil Wonder Man, but I did tell people that I felt that it was more Trevor Slattery's story than it was the guy that played Wonder Man.
And the ending, I'm like, what now? What happens next? Are they going to make a movie? Are they come out with another season? Or
I mean, Wonder Man is one of the oldest Avengers in the comics.
I'd never even heard of Wonder Man, which is weird. So I was like,
wasn't it weird that DC owns Wonder Woman, but Marvel owns Wonder Man?
Yeah, I was like, is he Wonder Woman's brother? What the hell? So
the only thing I like the only thing that really stood out to me was Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano. So, folks, if you haven't watched the show, the show makes so many references to movies because it's about actors, right? Makes so many references to different movies, but then they have one specific cameo. Actually, 2. They had 2 specific cameos. I'm not gonna ruin the one.
But that was my favorite when he's in the bar rapping that song from the other movie in a rap verse. I'm like, I know this song. Wait a minute.
but no. Well, I like I was talking about the Mel Brooks documentary, and I didn't even mention, obviously they're making Spaceballs 2 now. But the guy that is the writer that talked Mel Brooks into doing Spaceballs 2 makes a cameo in an entire episode of Wonder Man. And it is the funniest thing ever to me because I guess he just doesn't exist in the Marvel Universe right now. And that's all I can say without spoiling all of it.
Well, you got to tell me off there. I think I know what you're talking about when we get off. But also what movie I told you in Shavar about? The Wrecking Crew with Jason Momoa.
I watched it.
What you think? It was
okay.
Funny.
You want me to be real with you?
I thought it was funny. It's a cop. There's a buddy cop, 80s buddy cop like movie.
Well, it is, but it does the weird thing that a lot of movies today do. And I'm going to be honest.
You didn't like
absolutely it. Loved their dynamic between each other. Okay? Absolutely loved in the Wrecking Crew, absolutely loved how they worked together. Loved Morena Baccarin in it because she's great in everything. Like the fact that she's not a bigger star in Hollywood blows my mind.
Deadpool's girlfriend, right?
Yes. The fact that she's not a bigger star in the world is.
She's been in a couple movies I've watched so far. Elevation with you know what I'm talking about with
she's in tons of stuff.
And I'm like, who's that? That's the same chick. But anyway, Wrecking Ball. What about it?
So, loved the action. Loved a lot of the visual comedy of it. Like when Jason Momoa is trying to get into the guy's swimming pool area, and he's just like literally like Wrecking Crew people, right? Like he's just picking people up, throwing them at cars and whatever. Like, absolutely loved all that. Could have done with less of the adolescent dialogue.
Time out though. One of my favorite parts is the beginning where he's fighting. He only has that towel on, and then they're fighting. And all of a sudden, he's like, helicopter. That made me pop because I do that. I go, helicopter.
And so, so there was one or two. Well, he did that, and then he threw the thing and missed with it, and then he goes, "Shit."
Yep.
So it was, damn it, it was the distraction. But yeah, or when he said sword fight.
Yes, sword fight.
The first one I was okay with. The second one I was like, okay, we're going a little. But then it was the entire movie of that. And the only time that it really made sense to me was when she's driving the car, or when she's in the backseat of the car, and they're talking about how hot she is. And she's like, I'm sitting right here. I can hear you guys. And you're like, okay, so these two are 12.
I must be too, because I laughed that whole fucking movie.
Well, again, for someone like so I absolutely enjoyed the film and want a sequel because they definitely left it open for one.
Mm-hmm.
But I still sat there and said, okay, that's like the lowest of the low-hanging fruit joke.
It was.
Someone could come up with a better joke. And you know, part of that might have to do with the fact that I watched the Mel Brooks documentary this weekend, where his humor would touch upon all of it, right? Like, I mean, hell, in History of the World Part 1, when he walks up to the spot where he's trying to collect unemployment, it says the V and X Expo or depot, and it means the 5 and dime, right? And he was basically saying it's the 5 and dime shop. But you know, like one of the things that was in that documentary, which is part of the reason why, like, I always try to give a little bit more humor, and one of the things I said earlier, Tino, is and we'll definitely get into the Rumble right after this, but one of the things I said was people had always said that I was like the Weird Al of comics because of my parodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after watching the Mel Brooks documentary, I feel like I'm more of a Mel Brooks of comics, because the way that I would tackle specific genres and parody them or different things was more like how he would do it, rather than just taking a song and creating new lyrics for it.
Got it. Makes sense.
Make sense?
Uh-huh.
But listening to everybody talk about, specifically when it came to Spaceballs, one of the things that gets talked about in that documentary is about how Mel Brooks was looked at as old comedy, and he was working with people like John Candy and Rick Moranis, who from SCTV in the 80s were new comedy.
Yeah.
And how, like, what Bill Pullman actually said in the documentary was when they do the little hand thing in Spaceballs to basically be like, yo, a shitload of money, you know, like that. Bill Pullman was like, that wasn't Mel Brooks's way of doing comedy, but that was his way of incorporating John Candy's comedy into it, because John Candy wanted to do that. So they figured out a way to make that work in the context of the Mel Brooks script. So obviously I like to write comedy. So when I write comedy, I do try to figure out what level of watcher I'm going to get. And when you're dropping F-bombs and everything, you expect it to be adults, or at least teenagers who are getting in to watch movies that are for adults.
Right.
So when I sit there and I see that, one helicopter joke is fine. 10 helicopter jokes is a bit much.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. I still laughed.
And again,
speaking of stupid movies, I also watched Naked Gun.
So wasn't happy with that one. Go ahead, explain it.
I grew up on Naked Guns, right? And I don't know, this one missed something. It was too
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't the Zucker brothers.
It was too stupid.
And by the way, the Zucker brothers actually are part of the Mel Brooks documentary, and they explain how Mel Brooks actually led to them being able to make movies like Airplane and The Naked Gun. So there are positives to that Naked Gun movie, and some of them are Liam Neeson's portrayal. Because he is very good at the I'm too stupid to understand what you mean.
Yes. And I was surprised at that. I was pleasantly surprised coming off of all the have a specific set of skills. All those movies, for him to be able just to come off like that and do comedy like that, I didn't think he'd be able to pull it off. So that I was surprised at.
He was very good. Pamela Anderson was actually better than expected. Yeah. And the whole I think I will take the chair. was actually very funny. But like the constant coffee joke.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
First time, okay. Second time, all right. Third time, okay, we're really running this into the ground at this point.
Yeah, it was the whole movie.
When the guy, but you know what? There are lines in it where like the guy sits there and he goes, cigar, and he goes, yeah, and it's a mighty nice one too. And he's like, no, I was asking if you wanted one. And it's like smoking inside.
Yeah.
See, there are some moments that are actually very funny, but it was not a Zucker Brothers movie, and that's where I think it fell apart. And I'm glad that you actually feel that way. I'm not saying I didn't like the movie, though. I'm just saying that it didn't have the same feel as what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it was better than the commercials, because the commercials kept doing the police video, and they kept doing that song, and they kept like just trying to make it be like the, oh, he's running to the bathroom joke.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a good way to describe that movie either. So, anyways, want to talk about the Rumble?
Yeah, I know you weren't happy with it. I didn't mind it.
Let's talk about the women's Rumble first, because that's what opened the show.
We had fun in commentary, gentlemen.
You know what though? I am gonna say so after like most of the Rumble was over, and you and I were doing text commentary throughout the entire thing with our buddy BC.
Yeah.
We absolutely should have had a Zoom meeting going the entire time. We should have. And I almost opened one up and did it. And the reason why I didn't was because I wasn't sure everybody was going to be there or anybody wanted to be on camera.
I wouldn't have cared. I was sober.
Didn't like the way it started.
All right.
Michael Turner, I am 100% with you.
And I got your text about I just didn't have a chance to answer the thing you put in the group about SmackDown. So we'll talk about that too.
Okay. So this is right where we were when you showed up. I sat there and said, Triple H decided, let's go ahead and take our most over tag team and put them against each other as number 1 and number 2 in the Rumble, just like we did with Demolition back in the day. Except the difference was Axe and Smash decided, let's fucking hit each other. And instead, the Women's Royal Rumble, Tino, started with 2 women basically going, we're going to sit here for 2 fucking minutes and do nothing.
I thought Charlotte was going to turn it. If they were going to do it, that would have been the time to do it.
Knock her right out of the goddamn ring. But you also saw how I felt about Triple H's booking of Alexa Bliss, which I've now heard Alexa accidentally fell out and changed some of the booking.
Oh, shit. She not.
Oh, I love it. You're like, was she not so?
Because I've seen her on the apron, and Charlotte just came and kicked the shit out of her. Was she supposed to hold on?
She was supposed to hold on.
Oh God. Well, there was the surprise return. Rob didn't appreciate the surprise return.
The supplies return.
The Bella. I actually popped. I thought it was cool, man.
Dude, did you notice that they found the one person in that Saudi audience that was like yeah? It was like that meme of the little girl that sees her birthday cake and like just wrecks the room.
Yeah. That was
they popped big for Brie Bella. They truly did. I mean, it was like Brimo, and the whole crowd just like fucking erupted. And what did I send? I sent you a text message that said
waste of a spot.
What's that?
You said waste of a spot, and didn't know you said that.
No, I said that about Nikki.
Oh, you said that
when Brie came out, I sat there and said, "Did they pay this crowd to actually cheer for her?"
No, because people were glad to see her.
I mean, it was the one actual shock in the Rumble. Now, Nikki, I thought was a waste of a spot. I said that.
I was surprised AJ didn't come out.
So in the pre-show, CM Punk was on the pre-show for the entire time. I don't know if you watched the pre-show, but Big E started saying stuff like, "Oh, if we're gonna get some surprises, I'd like to see AJ Lee." And Punk said something like, "Well, that would be news to me." And I immediately went, I don't know if he was supposed to say that, but I don't think we're getting AJ Lee tonight. Now, will we get her Elimination Chamber? Probably. But and let's be real. So folks, Michael, I see your point of no surprises, no returns. And there's a couple things here. If you're a WWE hater, the easiest way to sit there and look at this is WWE already had your money. They didn't have to give you either. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a WWE hater, but you're a Saudi Arabia not fan, as a lot of these indie wrestlers and people that you would want to see come back might have the same feeling, it makes it very difficult to, one, bring them to Saudi Arabia, and two, have them surprised in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to get the least surprised Saudi Arabia Royal Rumble possible. And not because they didn't try. I'm sure they asked people if they'd want to go. And some people just sat there and said, no, just like CM Punk used to say, I don't want any of that Saudi blood money. Now, that's not my personal feelings on it. You know, you look at Matt Cardona showing up in the Rumble later and whatever, and you understand, hey, you work for the company, you're most likely going to go. Not seeing someone like Bianca Belair in the Women's Rumble, that was surprising. But apparently what I'm hearing now is that hand injury that she had, she tried to rehab, which made it worse, and now she has had surgery on it.
Mm.
So she could be out even longer because of it. Or Bianca Belair was one of the people at that press conference that announced Saudi's WrestleMania and did not look happy when she did it. So there is a possibility, too. She might just be one of the wrestlers that sits there and says, I prefer to be left off the card. Which, as of right now, I don't think anything has changed in the WWE's way of looking at the Saudi shows, which is, if you say I don't want to be there, it does not hurt your spot on the card going forward. Right?
Right.
So her saying I don't want to be on that show would be fine. So Tino, there weren't a lot of surprises, but this, based on what we saw with WWE Unreal, would this have not been the perfect time to elevate Chelsea Green to the main event status?
Yeah, because people were behind her.
Well, not just that, but I mean, like with Isla, it's not Isla Dawn, it's
Isla Dawn's gone, so it's what's her name? Alba Fire.
Alba Fire being outside the ring and Chelsea sitting there stepping on her and then getting back into the ring. That would have been the perfect time to actually like really utilize Chelsea Green and get her.
You know who I've been impressed with, and I'm surprised they didn't push her more in the Rumble? Kiana James. Kiana James, Friday night on SmackDown, was showing her power, and she did have a good showing in the Rumble.
She is a gorgeous woman.
And strong. She's athletic.
She is strong. She is athletic. You know who she reminds me of is Jada Parker.
I can see that.
You know, and obviously Jada is staying in NXT for a while. But Kiana James, like, I can't wait until she turns on Julia.
I'll see her. I could see her being a future champion.
I could too, but you and I are probably going to talk off air about future champions and people's spots in the company. But yeah.
You made a comment on the text too. You didn't understand why Natty eliminated Becky, but if you paid attention, she cost Maxine Dupree that title. As she was going up the ramp, she was looking at Becky saying, "I'm coming for that belt." So that made sense. I think that's the next program. It's going to be.
Well, I think that's a 3-way program.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't know if it's meant to actually push Natty, even though I love the Natty character. Like,
and they were saying they were very careful to tell you the difference between Natalya and Natty. You know, they said it numerous times.
And even the music, you start with that high pitch, like Heart Foundation, and then it's like, you know, it's like,
So
I loved it. By the way, I love her MMA outfit. I love what she's doing. I'd love to see Shayna Baszler back in WWE with her, or as the NXT GM. I don't know, but yeah. So when it comes to closing out the match, the most shocking thing to me was when Lash Legend mule kicked Io Sky out of the match. Dude, you saw my text and immediately went OMG, because I was like, this match has been kind of boring. OMG.
Yeah, I was like, well, I didn't know why you had sent that. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
it was
that mule kick to Io Sky was devastating.
I'm wondering if she's hurt for real.
I mean, she probably chipped some teeth, because there was nothing fake about how that kick went and how she ended up like. And of course, I need to reiterate that it doesn't matter how many times Michael Cole tells me she's the greatest wrestler in the world today, if she's going to get mule kicked like that, like fucking Speedball Mike Bailey.
My favorite is when you said EO came dressed as a yellow Power Ranger. Did you see that TikTok I sent you?
I sent it to you.
I don't remember that.
I sent it to you like 5 TikToks before that.
I don't remember that.
I even said, you realize I sent this to you.
I don't remember that.
So I actually saw the one where Jordan Grace was actually sitting there going, no, you're supposed to do it like this. So it was like the behind the scenes of getting them all to do the Power Ranger thing.
I'm trying to go back and look, dude, because we were
But yes, there were multiple Power Rangers at the show. There was also Ivy Nile, who I believe was dressed as like the Fallout Vault Boy. There was there was multiple of them. And and you know what? If we're going to talk about this, shout out to Sol Ruka, who not only made an outfit look like something she would actually wear if she was going surfing, but still be hot wearing it.
And I think I'm going back to our text. At one point, I was like, "Damn, is Sol going to win this thing?"
Oh no, that was when we got to 4 left, and you were like, "Sol gonna win." And then immediately after that, it was like Raquel's out. They're all on the apron. Sol Ruka does like the dumbest thing ever by jumping up to the second rope and immediately out of the match. Right after I see Sol's gonna win.
Yeah, like, damn it! And yeah, she landed hard on Liv's face, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, that hurt."
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That it was interesting that it came down to 3 blonde women. It was also interesting that it came down to Tiffany Stratton, who was the champion last year. But I think she was like the runner-up the year before. Could be wrong, because she might not have even been in WWE at that point. She might have just been in NXT.
they said the Bailey or Roxanne, one of them was the runner-up last year.
Liv Morgan, I thought, was the runner-up last year.
Yeah, because they did.
Charlotte won, and it was Liv Morgan was the runner-up.
So do we agree with Liv winning?
So here's where I start being a little bit nasty on this. She's the easy pick. Now the question is, who does she go against, and why do we care?
Raquel. Because what's going to happen is Raquel will lose that belt tonight.
She'll win that belt tonight?
Oh, sorry, win that belt tonight. She'll go into WrestleMania as a champion to face Liv, and at some point in time, Liv will probably get kicked out. Because remember, I told you Friday, they kept saying how Raquel was taking over the leadership while Liv was gone, taking over leadership of the Judgment Day.
Well, and that's why my message was Raquel wins the belt from Stephanie Vaquer.
Yes.
And then Liv ends up either winning or losing to her. And you know what? I'm okay if Liv loses, but you have to, like, who's the heel, who's the baby face? Like, who gets kicked out of Judgment Day during the whole thing?
They need to go ahead and start doing that now.
Right. And you also have to think that right now, Roxanne is high-fiving Liv all the time. But Raquel was the one that actually liked Roxanne.
That's why I think Roxanne's going to turn on her. I think what they're waiting.
I think it's time to end the Judgment Day.
I think when Dom comes back, what I've been saying, him and Liv, because people are already cheering Dom. He's to that point now where they.
Yeah, but he just posted another heel promo for the AAA. So it makes it tough. It makes it tough. But so anyway, Liv winning. I think it was the easy choice. I think if you gave it to Sol Ruka, you immediately elevate someone to main event status in the women's division who everybody likes watching, but you also sit there and go, who can she go against, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been something great. But going with Liv lets you sit there and go, okay, we're going to go with what's known and what let's say, and let me put it this way. TKO thinks is the safe choice. And I don't like that, because I'm going to talk about that more when it comes to the men's rumble.
I think too, I wouldn't mind seeing Liv win and her go against Roxanne.
I'm totally fine with that. But again, and yes, it gives you multiple possibilities, but I think it was the easy choice.
Yeah.
You know, and let's be real, if let's say Alexa Bliss actually got eliminated at the right time rather than what I'm hearing now, which is she should have been in there longer, I wrote to you, Triple H has never liked booking her. And I'm not wrong with how she just randomly is out of the Rumble. Now, if she couldn't hold on, that's on her.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't change the result unless she was supposed to win, which obviously she wasn't.
Michael Turner said Finn and Liv are out. Finn and Liv, and I believe that.
I kind of do too. The question is whether or not JD goes with them or JD just gets left in the dust because they let them out of the Judgment Day beforehand. All right, let's talk about AJ's final Rumble.
I was kind of hoping this would win.
Do we need to give a 10 bell salute to the 10-second salute?
I was kind of hoping that it would end kind of wonky where AJ didn't lose. You know what I mean? Maybe a disqualification or something so they can. It's just, this is January. I figured they would let him get further into 2026 before they retired him. Now, what I'm thinking is he took his gloves off,
right?
But then he put him back on and did his whole thing. WWE and TNA have a working contract. I can see him going back to TNA. But so would he be under TNA contract? Or would he be under WWE contract? You know what I mean?
So there's a couple things here, and I'm gonna throw one out that not a lot of people have thought about.
I don't see AEW in his future.
Well, hold on. So AEW in his future is one. That's not the one that people haven't talked about. Okay. TNA being at a show like Bound for Glory or going into their Hall of Fame and whatever, he's always said he doesn't want to do it till he actually retires. But what about if he actually became the Raw general manager?
Or NXT.
But at Raw, he would be able to sit there and make the matches, do all that stuff, all that going on. Because right now, we don't know what's going on with Adam Pearce, right?
He's the master.
But hold on. Let me continue. If that happened, every so often, a general manager sometimes wrestles.
But I think AJ is going to stick to his, I'm retired, I'm not going to wrestle again.
I don't think that's true if he goes to TNA. I think he'll wrestle Mike Santana or he'll wrestle Frankie Kazarian.
Okay.
I think he will have at least one more TNA match if that's the case. And by the way, if his WWE contract isn't up, but he said, I want to finish at the Rumble in WWE, can I work some TNA matches? Then I think that's where that becomes okay, right?
But you're right. I didn't think about him being a GM.
Nobody did.
I like that.
And the idea that maybe a year from now, somebody sits there and he goes, you pushed me too far. He says, you pushed me too far. How about we have a match? Okay. Like, are we never going to say okay to AJ Styles coming back for another match?
No.
Fuck no. And by the way, I think that's part of the reason why he didn't put the gloves down. He obviously didn't unlace the boots because he wears actual wrestling boots.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the gloves and everything, I think that like right now, that's what I'm thinking. But ideally, Bound for Glory or one of the big TNA shows would be the place that you would want to see him maybe have one last X Division match.
Yeah. When Cena retired, somebody said he should have left the jorts in the ring. I'm like, no, thank you. Anyway.
Would have been funny if he did that and he actually had wrestling tights underneath. You know? What did you think of the match? Adam Pearce, by the way, was the producer.
I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a good match for what it was, right? So it was the two different styles. no pun intended, but it was two different wrestling styles, right? AJ's more of a high flyer kind of thing, and Gunther was a ground and pound. So for what it was, I think they worked well together. That match, I'd probably give it a B. You know what I mean? B minus.
Well, for me, giving the entire show a D, me giving that match a B would have been good.
So what do you think of the match?
I thought it was fine. I think that the problem that I've run into when it comes to Gunther matches is that they go to rest holds and they go to the submission way too much. I know it's meant to add the hostility and the I need to reach for the ropes feel. At the same time, a guy like AJ Styles, I want to see in a high flying match where he's using his speed.
But I think that was the point, and I was about to say, because AJ Styles is that fast paced and Gunther's not. I think that was part of psychology. He's trying to slow AJ down. So I didn't mind too much.
I agree, and I will tell you that my favorite part of the match is actually AJ Styles passing out and the referee having to call the match. And the reason why is because it gives it a real fight feel when that person gets up and goes, why did you call the match? Yep. And it's like, because you were out. You were done. And we had to grab smelling salts to bring you back. You know, like, that is one of those things where like, I think that's the ESPN aspect of the show.
Well, no, because they didn't do well. That was Saturday Night's main event, because they didn't do that with Cena.
No. And but I think that's where they tried to make it look as real as possible.
I did.
Him sitting there being disgusted at the fact that, like, you called the match, I didn't give up, and it's like, well. And that's part of the reason why my text message to Tino, everybody, was quite simple. I said, whatever happened to the 3-arm drop?
I think that was hokey when they used to do that, though, right? You know what I mean? He could look.
Oh, yeah, but just doing the, like, let me tap your fingers to see if you do anything.
No, he raised he lifted his arm and it fell.
Well, he lifted, like, the wrist. It wasn't a full arm raise. But you're right. But the hokiness of pro wrestling is the thing that we love, right?
But again, just like you said, that they got the ESPN now. They're not going to, you know what I mean?
Well, and I unfortunately think that if they had done the 3-arm raise, it would have been the 3-arm raise. He would have gotten out, and he would have immediately been put back in the sleeper. And I'd be complaining about the fact that it was 3 sleepers to put him out.
Yeah.
I do think that at this point it's time to move on from the sleeper from Gunther. I think it's time to, I don't know, maybe he should start using the full Nelson and making people pass out.
The master lock?
Sure. But I'm just tired of watching the sleeper hold. Sleeper hold is very boring. You know, even when he wraps his legs around you, it's like the coquina clutch is still better. You know?
Yeah.
Like pull that arm back and actually, like, clench that is such a better hold. Like, I know that Gunther's supposed to be old school, but we're all sitting there going, like, and you know what's going to happen. Because Gunther's going to start putting people in that hold, and you're going to start hearing, this is boring.
Yep.
And that's not good for business. Because Gunther is amazing in the ring, and yet you're making him use the most boring move that they got. What is up, Mr. Helios?
Hey.
All right, so let's talk about. I didn't actually put it up here, but let's talk about Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre.
Another one that I missed. I thought Sammy was going to win. Thought they were in Saudi.
I thought the outcome of the AJ Gunther match was going to determine the outcome of this match. If AJ loses and we get a downer, we have to have an upper. Instead,
2 downers.
we got punched in the fucking face. Look at this. Look at this. We got punched in the fucking face twice.
We got punched in the nuts.
Well, I got punched in the... I didn't actually. I took a header. Fucking ice, man. But honestly, like looking at this match,
Michael Turner, look at his last comment.
Glad Sammy lost. All you guys need to go. I'm taking that down. I gotta be real, and I gotta be honest when I say this. I don't understand why they added the insult to injury when it came to Sammy, knowing that his wife and his kid were in the audience. That you have to sit there and give him like 7 claymores.
And I thought because they harped on Drew's beat him 11.
0-11.
I'm like, and then when they said Sammy's never lost in Saudi, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Anytime they sit there and they try to like bracket something against the other thing, something's got to give, right?
No, soon as
remember
he said Sammy's never lost in Saudi, I'm like, fuck.
Remember, at one point, Edge had never lost at WrestleMania. So you know what they did? They put him up against The Undertaker. And you know, there was talk during that Edge would beat him. And Edge said, no.
No. No.
In this, let's be real. I sat there and I literally thought, if AJ Styles loses, Sami Zayn has to win because the crowd has to go home happy. That's what I thought. Because, by the way, I didn't think whatever happened in the Rumble was going to make me feel that way.
I was not happy. Not happy.
Sami Zayn put on another 5-star performance in a loss. Drew McIntyre looked like $1 million fucking dollars. Not even $1,000, not 100,000. He looked like $1 million fucking bucks, dude. Sami Zayn basically was the broom that anybody can work with.
He made him look good.
At his own expense. But I will tell you this. As soon as he lost that match, I said Kevin Owens isn't coming back in the Rumble.
I could have told you Kevin Owens wasn't coming back.
Well, Kevin Owens is in the best shape of his life right now.
Yeah, but that neck, I don't think that neck's right. Glad everyone went home mad after that match. He is a hater.
Michael Turner, you just don't like gingers. That's got to be what it is.
All right.
I love you, buddy.
Let's get to what got us here. What we came.
So we start with Obafemi versus who was his?
It was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be Braun
Breaker.
And the lankiest dude wearing a hoodie showed up and tried to do Seth Rollins' moveset.
Thanks, Adam Pearce.
A lot of people do. A lot of people also think it's Logan Paul.
Yeah, we know it's
a lot of people also just think it doesn't matter who did it. It matters who pulls the mask off when they reveal it. And I think that's where we are. That could have been some rando like Saudi jobber.
Could be.
You know. Oba ends up throwing out like the first 5 guys.
Awesome.
And the best thing that I saw about this was you got to be manly enough to wear a thing of Dunkin' Donuts munchkins around your neck in the Royal Rumble. Because that thing that he was wearing. And Jordan Grace actually posted, not gonna lie, this is the funniest thing I've seen on the internet today.
Like, I want to see.
I actually was kind of expecting to see Jonathan Gresham at some point. Because he just lost the Feast or Fired match in
No, that wasn't Jonathan Gresham.
It wasn't Gresham?
It was Macklin.
Oh, Steve Macklin. Well, I was expecting to see Steve Macklin. But sorry, I thought it was Gresham. But anyway.
Jonathan Gresham is ROH. That's Jordan Grace's husband.
So I knew that it was the husband. I just thought he was the guy that, and I guess I was wrong.
No, Macklin's married to what's her name? Deonna Purrazzo.
Oh,
yeah.
Good for him. Good for both of them. Good for both of them. Did you like the video I sent you of Jordan Grace where Ivy Nile was doing like push-ups and everything?
That was hysterical. So Rob sent me this video. Jordan Grace is like on her phone and she's kind of like leaning against
her arm against the wall.
And Ivy Nile came out and started doing pull-ups on Jordan's arm.
She didn't just do pull-ups. I mean, she was doing like everything. She was doing like 1-arm pull-ups. She was doing 2-arm pull-ups.
That was awesome.
The whole time, by the way, Jordan Grace just had a smile on her face.
I wasn't even bothered. Didn't bowl. Wasn't straining to hold her weight up. Oh my God, how strong is this chick?
Exactly. Not to mention, how strong is Ivy Nile to sit there and just be able to sit there and do 1-arm push-ups or pull-ups, and whatever. But anyways, let's.
We did get. You get the harmonica, and it says Powerhouse Hobbs, and then what's his name? Voice Keys.
Voice Keys. Based on, let's go ahead and explain this to everybody.
Oh, I didn't know what's it based on.
Royce is the name of his first son.
Okay.
And Keys is the maiden name of his past mom.
There you go.
So it's kind of like Kevin Owens, right? Where
when he came out, you like Royce Keys. I'm like,
no. I obviously it said, but I was waiting for Powerhouse. You know, like that's and so I'll say this. Bully Ray said this week that he kind of hoped that it would have been Powerhouse Keys, right? Keep something, or Powerhouse Royce Keys. Keep something that, and honestly,
on the commentary, they did saying this guy's a powerhouse, so they did kind of.
Well, he's going to keep that moniker, I think, but having that as like his, you know, in quotations, Powerhouse Royce Keys would have been something that would have driven it a little bit further.
Now, my other thing, and you had me about to crack up. Who the fuck was it? It was Javon Evans. Kept chopping the shit out of Brock Lesnar.
No, that was Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, that's right. He's like, "Her," and you said Brock didn't like them chops. that made me pop.
It was like 5 chops.
That made me pop.
And then Brock just looked at him and went, and by the way, from what I'm reading, Ilya was not supposed to be eliminated at that moment. But Brock just picked him up and threw him out of the ring.
He said, "Fuck you." But that was so funny. You like Brock didn't like them chops.
Well, let's be real. There is no way Brock Lesnar's being chopped like that unless Brock Lesnar says, "I'm willing to do this." You know? Like he's the one guy I'm not saying that he has creative control, but that motherfucker will leave the backstage area if he doesn't like creative for him.
Yeah.
And then they go, no, Brock, we figured it out. Let's work on this together. But yeah, Ilya Dragunov hitting him with those 5 chops or whatever, and then like Paul Heyman, if you look at his Instagram right now, Heyman Hustle actually has a picture of where Brock Lesnar just has that like look on his face, and it's fucking incredible.
Then I popped you. It was like Jay's entrance. He was coming down, and I said, by the time he gets there, the next man will be coming in because he took forever.
Okay. So his entrance took so long that you were like, oh, Jey Uso, and I was like, Jey Uso gonna be coming down, gonna be gassed by the time he gets in the ring, and then you said that.
That shit was hilarious.
And we all popped at that. Let's be real.
Oh, only you did. I'm looking at it. And then Shavar said, "Long ass interest overshadows Brock getting eliminated." I didn't even know that. You see,
was Brock eliminated by then?
Yeah, they were. Jay was doing. He was still coming down. Cody and somebody else.
LA Knight.
LA
Knight was the other one that actually eliminated Brock. But I do want to point out that before Brock got eliminated, that Logan Paul had eliminated somebody and ended up on the outside, and then he went back in the ring and he was like this because he was still there, and Brock Lesnar was staring at him from behind, and Brock Lesnar just sat there and like bam, bam, and there is a video online where it says, and this is how that actually happened.
So then you get down to the final, right? So Roman's in there, and you said Logan, Shavar said Roman, and I said Randy. And right when I said Randy, he got eliminated, and I went, "Well," you started laughing.
Yeah, I remember that, and I laughed so hard. Well.
Because right after I said Randy, he got eliminated. I was like, well.
I mean, it was immediate. It was immediate. But, all right. So now let's break this down. So the last 3 were Logan Paul, Roman Reigns, and Gunther, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck was Gunther even in there? And the reason why I asked this is because, yes, he was selling the knee injury and bullshit. But the fact that he was in there, if he didn't win, it was going to be a cooler. It's going to be a cooler for him. He literally just did what he said he was going to do, and he was going to career kill another person. And then he goes into the Royal Rumble, and he gets bitched out?
I thought if he would win, it would kind of be a callback to him and CM Punk, because Punk beat him for the title. I thought he'd work his way back up and maybe beat Punk for the title, which I don't want to see the title on him again. That's what I thought. So when he got eliminated, I was like, well, fuck.
We're gonna see the title on Gunther at some point.
Yeah, I don't want to.
And I'm okay with it because he is a great professional wrestler.
But
the problem is that
he doesn't need the title, though.
Well, but hold on. Neither does Punk.
Yes,
neither does Roman.
I agree there.
Neither does Drew. Neither does Cody. We already established all that. So let's avoid that, because obviously we're gonna get at least 2 of those guys are gonna go against each other because Roman won the Rumble, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Gunther, I want to see Gunther go back to doing the matches he did against like Dragunov. I want to see him versus Carmelo. I want to see him versus LA Knight. I want to see him doing these matches against the younger guys that he can't retire, even though he's the career killer.
I want to see him and Trick. That'd be a good match.
Trick should kick his head off. And Trick should also win in a surprise at the end.
Yep.
But we're not booking. And unfortunately, the Royal Rumble booking at the end literally was a guy that sat there and called into question WWE creative last week. Roman Reigns went on a podcast and flat out said the same thing that John Cena said about him in 2017, which was, the reason I have to keep coming back is because you can't get over.
Who do you say
Roman's over now, but Roman basically came out and said, I don't understand. I went away for 2 years. I stayed out of the main event picture, and yet nobody can do anything. Nobody's moved up. The same people that were here the last time are still here now.
Wow.
Well, what does that make you feel when you see that he wins the Rumble?
Pissed. Like at that point, I do agree. They could have pushed a younger talent. They could have pushed somebody new, somebody fresh.
I literally look at this and I go, this guy basically just said what TKO is thinking.
Which is?
This guy is literally saying what they are thinking. We need to get back to where we're getting top dollar people at the top. And you haven't established anybody in the 12 months to get us to WrestleMania, which is your top show. So we got to put the same guys in the same position. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm reading. That's how I feel about it. And I don't fucking like it.
Yep.
Because we saw LA Knight at the end of this Royal Rumble drop Roman Reigns with the BFT. We saw him throw out Brock Lesnar. We saw him, I think it was one other person that he actually threw out of the ring. And then he randomly ends up on the outside of the ropes and Cody Rhodes drop kicks him out of the ring. Fuck you. That is garbage.
So what they're gonna do, and it's the same thing. It's gonna get to the point. He's hot, he's white hot. People care about him, and then it's gonna come to a point.
Who's this gonna be?
Huh?
Who's this gonna be? It's not gonna be LA Knight again. He already had that.
That's what I'm saying. He's still they still cheer him. I mean, nobody's.
Jacob Fatu could have won the Rumble.
Yep. Him or Oba would have been my pick to win the Rumble.
Putting Oba in as number one only works if he actually knocks out 15 people. And he didn't. He got 6, and then Triple H was like, oh, I don't know. We can't do that. And it became bullshit. This Rumble was the most boring Rumble. The biggest surprise of this Royal Rumble, and I said this to you, the biggest surprise of this Royal Rumble was there was no Chris Jericho. That was the biggest surprise, that they didn't surprise us.
But then
Royce Keys,
you got to go back to what you said before, though. You got to go back to what you said before, though. It would have been harder to keep it as a surprise, right? Because then you said earlier the reason why we didn't have surprise entrance is because it would have been harder to sneak the people in.
I agree. I agree to a degree, but I will say this. Every time they've wanted to sneak in Chris Jericho has snuck in. And you can't even fault me on that. That, literally, the very first Saudi show that they did, Chris Jericho snuck in as number 2 in that greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's my problem with this. And I'm not even saying that Chris Jericho signed, because right now he's on the active roster of AEW, but they keep trying to tell us that Chris Jericho may have signed with WWE. I'm now hearing that WWE has tried to gain some sort of contract with the song Judas, and Shavar posted to us, VZ posted to us that that Chris Jericho's in the video game for the first time in like 5 years.
Wait, why is WWE trying to get that's Jericho's song? What are they trying to do?
I think what they're trying to do is get a new version of the song. Why would they want a new version of the song?
Just because it was on damn AEW? That's so fucking childish. It's Jericho's song.
Hold on. So why did CM Punk get a brand new version of Cult of Personality?
So WWE can sell it because they're fucking greedy.
No, that's actually not why.
Why did they?
CM Punk actually pointed out that the reason why they got a new version of Cult of Personality was so that Living Color would actually own the song and get paid every time WWE plays it.
But don't they already own the song? And doesn't Jericho already own?
No, so a lot of times it's owned by the record company.
Oh.
So when they when they create a new version of it that might be a little bit different, 10% to get away from copyright and whatever. When they do that, they own the song. They get the rights to it. So every time it plays, they get.
Okay.
So good question. And I agree with you. Like normally it would sound like WWE just trying to do what they can. But if Chris Jericho is trying to come back to Judas in WWE, it most likely will have a different kick to it.
Okay. Then I'm cool with it if he's making money off of
it. And it might just be a live version of it. It might be this, might be, you know what I mean? So, Tino, what would you grade the Royal Rumble?
Like I said, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a B.
Did you?
I enjoyed it.
So what would you give it?
A B.
I'm giving it a D+.
Wow.
And I'm going to say that's because of a B match with AJ Styles and Gunther and a B match with Drew and Sammy. And both Rumbles, besides that mule kick to Io Sky and the shocking chops from Ilya Dragunov to Brock Lesnar.
So, okay, I did enjoy I enjoyed it all, but what would be my favorite match? I like the women's match. The women's match was good. The championship match. So maybe I'll change mine. Maybe it's a C.
You know what? I'm going to sit there and let you continue to talk to the crowd. I really need to use the restroom.
No, I was trying to think because Michael Turner said he gave it an F. So Michael Turner, why would you
I wouldn't give it an F.
Why would you give it an F, Turner? So it's C. I did enjoy it. It wasn't as bad as everybody else is saying it. I saw Michael Turner said the only good thing is that Liv won, right? So I did enjoy the women's match. I was disappointed in the outcome of the AJ Styles match, but I still think it was a good match. I was disappointed that Sammy didn't win because it was in Saudi. It would have, and like I said, he didn't have to keep the championship, but let him win in Saudi, and then Drew gets it back either on SmackDown or at Elimination Chamber. I was not happy. I was not happy with Roman winning at the end of that. Like I said, I would have rather seen Oba or what's my man's name? Jacob Fatu win. So yeah. So having said that, I probably changed mine to a C. I don't think it's a D or an F though. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't as bad as WrestlePalooza. I'll put it like that. So Let's see. Yeah, Michael, I agree with you. I don't think that Roman should have won that. Liv, I'm cool with because I really think that I think this is going to lead I can't talk today. Lead to the breakup of Judgment Day. So Liv, I was happy with. Wasn't happy with Roman winning. So I changed mine to a C. Rob, I changed it to a C because it wasn't WrestlePalooza. It was better than WrestlePalooza. So I changed it
Well,
to a C.
when I compare it to the Royal Rumbles, that's where, first of all, I think only 4 matches was one too light, at least.
It still went over 4 hours.
It did, and that's because, and you know, the first thing I mentioned to you was that Mark Nash, when he was reading off the rules, was like, every 2 minutes they will bring out and then when you looked and you read it, it said every 90 seconds.
Well, because traditionally it is every 2 minutes. Because think about it, it's every 2 minutes, it's 30 entrants, so it's an hour. It's supposed to be an hour. So I don't know if they were trying to shorten it for time because they had 2 Royal Rumbles. I don't know if they're trying to shorten it for time because it's I don't know why.
Well, most recently I thought it was 90 seconds. Ever since they added the women's, I thought it was 90 seconds.
I think it was still 2 minutes.
And this was, I think, the 9th year of the women's, by the way.
Damn.
But I still felt like it was one match short of what they should, what they normally do.
But then they go in that territory that you bitch about, a long pay-per-view. So I mean, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta.
Well, hold on. If it's every AEW pay-per-view that's 5.5 to 7 hours, yes, I do have a problem with all of those. If it's every 4th if it's one of the special pay-per-views, then I'm okay with you going, hey, we're going to give them something special. The problem is they didn't give us anything special. Like, they literally kicked our teeth in multiple times during this pay-per-view. And then when it came to the Rumbles, they gave us the easy answer. Both times.
Yeah.
Like Roman Reigns, I don't know what's happening on Monday Night Raw right now, but Roman Reigns might not even show up. And what would that do?
I'm sure he'll.
Gunther, who beat AJ Styles, is probably not going to have a match tonight to where he proves that he can continue just decimating people. Triple H keeps saying that this is a new era. And yet, what has changed, Tino? Not a goddamn thing. So we're tired of hearing this is a new era. If this is a new era, right now the new era is a toilet bowl.
New era sucks.
Go back to the old era. But I think that's where Triple H was like, people don't like this new era that I've been doing, so we're going to give them Roman Reigns in WrestleMania. I also think that it's time that they get rid of the statement that winning the Royal Rumble means that you main event WrestleMania. It's okay to sit there and say you go after the championship at WrestleMania, because you do. But Jey Uso won last year, and he was the very first match. And by the way, he was the loudest pop of the entire show when he got eliminated this year. Even after he rolled it back twice.
I don't know, man.
I still give the show a D. Because by the time it was over, I was like, nothing new and nothing special happened. And I didn't like that. Because the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam are the 3 shows that we expect that.
Survivor Series.
Well, I know that we hope Survivor Series gives us that.
So those are the big four.
Survivor Series really isn't one of the big four anymore.
Used
Money in the Bank is more a big four.
Yeah.
And even that, they moved that after SummerSlam this year. But those three shows, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and what was the other one I said? SummerSlam. I expect something special. I got nothing special out of this Royal Rumble.
And then, like Michael Turner said, they definitely have to step up Mania. So we'll see what they give us at Mania.
Well, I like what he gave us this.
Yeah.
Tino, you got anything else you want to go ahead and pop in there since you were here a little bit late tonight?
No, that's all. I want to come in and see what your thoughts were on the Rumble.
Well, we went an hour and a half after you got here, so let's go ahead. You tell everybody how to do all that good stuff.
You can catch me on Blue Sky.
Jones.
You can catch me on Blue Sky. You can catch me
Jones
at Tino G on Blue Sky. You can catch me SC Tino on the Insta. Tino Gray Music on the TikTok. You can catch us, Potsy and Tino, on X. Potsy and Tino Show on Facebook. We're here each and every week on the Pots and Pans Network. Please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, buy our shit. Thanks to Adam's House Cat for letting us use the song for all those years. It's called The Wrestling Song. You can buy it on iTunes for 99 cents. 99.
Tino's probably going to hate the intro for this show, but it was Danhausen, so thank you to Danhausen for the opening. If anybody has seen Larry, my FedEx guy that has not delivered my glasses yet, please let us know where he is, because FedEx still doesn't seem to know. That would be wonderful.
Oh, is that what that Larry disappeared in the snow? They had to go out and find him was? I was like, they're talking about CM Punk's dog. He died. But
No. Larry, the FedEx guy, still has not delivered my glasses after 4 days of being out for delivery.
Oh.
So on top of that, folks, I'm available at Rob Potsy Pochak, or at Pochak on X, on all of the socials. Please find us, enjoy us, and I guess we will see you next time. Big Daddy Jones, the Black Widow Jones, earlier this week, being mentioned multiple times. Cappuccino Jones apparently is the WWE ID champion right now.
All right. The Jones family's doing good.
Jones family is doing all right. So with that said, folks, thank you so much. We'll be here next week. And it was great to get back here. So we'll see you next time.
Ready? Motor City Machines and Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino Show.
Thanks for watching.
Monday night, it's time to go. Turn on the screen, let the good times show. Wrestling life and who knows what. If it's cool or weird, they're talking it up. It's the Potsy and Tino Show. Drop the facts and let opinions